I started by asking him whether he had any hope of a breakthrough in Abu Dhabi today.
Well, I hope that however this war ends, it's going to be agreed with Ukraine and that Ukrainian priority will be upheld, because we need to remember that it was Russia who attacked viciously Ukraine. And I think that every crazy dictator in the world is watching, whether the West will be united, whether we'll be strong.
And being involved, does that mean then reopening the channels of communication with the Kremlin, as President Macron has suggested, or would that just be rewarding aggression?
I mean, the most important thing is that President Zelensky's and the voice of the Ukrainian people is heard. And I think that we cannot try to come up with ideas that are going to be unacceptable for Ukraine. This is the most important thing. And I think that we should simply focus on that and not try to come up to a solution which is going to be unacceptable for the people who are attacked, because that's going to be completely counterproductive, and it will have a negative impact on the credibility of Europe, but also on the credibility of the United States.
And there's lots at stake for Poland here, of course, a neighbouring country. Are the Europeans having enough of a say, do you believe, in these talks?
I don't think so, and I think that there will be no solution, there will be no security, there will be no rebuilding Ukraine without our involvement. So that's why it is absolutely fundamental for the Europeans to be involved and for our voice to be heard. And we also do not fudge the issue who was the aggressor. It was Russia. And we want to help the Ukrainians now in these very dire circumstances when they're being attacked all the time viciously, the civil population, my sister city Kyiv and Kharkiv. And also after, when it comes to rebuilding Ukraine and opening up the European perspective for our friends.
And how are you making sure that you can keep that momentum on supporting your neighbour Ukraine, but also not harming your own security in Poland?
We are strengthening our security as much as we can. We are investing almost 5% of our GDP in defence. We are strengthening our eastern border. We are investing as much as we can. We are taking the responsibility ourselves, exactly as President Trump wanted. Now we need to convince other Europeans to do the same. But at the same time, we need to be helping the Ukrainians, because they were actually fighting for our freedom, and they were providing us security. They were giving us breathing space when it comes to rebuilding our security, because the Russian threat is there. And if this war ends with Putin's success, then this is the gravest threat for the European security.
And how real is the threat that there could potentially be an invasion in your country, in Poland?
Well, I don't think that there is a great threat, because fortunately, I mean, the Russians got their teeth knocked out by the Ukrainians. But if we give them breathing space, I mean, if we give them arguments and time to actually rebuild their military, unfortunately, they might strike back. They might just wait and then come back and test our resilience. I mean, they're doing it every time, you know, every day. There is a hybrid warfare everywhere, misinformation, sabotage, and so on and so forth. We need to be ready. We need to be resilient, also when it comes to the cities. And that's what we are doing in Warsaw. We are strengthening our resilience. We're learning from our Ukrainian friends, and at the same time helping them in the time of distress, when there are those temperatures minus 30 and Kyiv is freezing. We're helping as much as we can.
And you mentioned President Trump earlier. What do you think of his Board of Peace? Why isn't Poland joining it?
We are looking into President Trump's initiatives, because at the end of the day, we want to keep the Americans involved. This is very, very important. This is not a question of emotions. This is not a question, we are serious people. This is not a question of judging someone's behavior at a given moment. It's a question of European security. We need to be together, because if Europe and the United States will not be together, all of our enemies, all of our foes will open champagne bottles. So we need to be aware of that.
Does this administration, though, sometimes make you feel like you have to pick or choose Brussels or Washington, D.C.?
Well, if you listen to President Trump carefully, I mean, he said Europe should take more responsibility, right? He said there should be no free riding. Well, we understand it in Poland, we understand it in the Baltic republics. So now it's a question of convincing other Europeans, okay, let's strengthen our capabilities, let's strengthen our credibility. And this is, in a sense, a response to the wishes of the American administration. And at the same time, we, of course, need to keep the Americans involved, because those are our closest allies. And if the threats are elsewhere, we should be absolutely certain that those relations are as good as they can be. And even if the Americans want to focus on other parts of the world, they need to be sure that someone has their back. And it's us, the Europeans.
And we've seen the comments of Mario Draghi this week, the former head of the European Central Bank, saying that the EU needs to move from a confederation to a federation, that countries need to huddling together and moving on their own pace. What are your views on that?
I don't like these labels, because they do not really describe the Union, which is, a beautiful construct because it's so original and unique. There are there are areas in which we need more integration, like defense, that's for sure. I'm not dogmatic. I don't think that we need more integration in every field. Maybe there are places in which we integrated ourselves too much. I mean, we need a bit more flexibility. We need to be self-sufficient. But yes, there are issues like defense, like capital markets, where we need more integration in order to be a real player in the world.